Good afternoon, everyone. It's a true honor to be here today, and I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade for this great opportunity. Today, we come together to welcome a visionary leader, Tamara Vrooman, President and CEO of the Vancouver Airport Authority, who will share with us the innovative ideas and initiatives shaping YVR. YVR is more than just a gateway for British Columbia to the world. It is a beacon of innovation and sustainability in the global transportation industry. Millions of passengers pass through its doors each year, but what truly sets YVR apart is its commitment to excellence. Each journey, each connection made through YVR reflects its dedication to serving the community, prioritizing safety, innovation, and pushing towards a greener, more sustainable future. One of the most powerful examples of YVR's forward-thinking approach is its recent installation of the innovative lightning warning system called ThorGuard. This technology enhances safety for everyone by detecting severe weather risks, making sure that passengers can travel with peace of mind, creating a safer and smarter airport experience for all of us. For many people, YVR is not just a hub for transportation, it's also a great neighbor in our community. The airport champions local charities and drives positive change through numerous community engagement opportunities every day. YVR deeply values its partnering relationship with the Musqueam people, which is built on respect and ongoing support with many local initiatives to achieve a mutually beneficial future for the Indigenous community. YVR's vision for shaping a sustainable future resonates with what we've been striving for at Stantec globally. By sharing a net zero future vision and through our aligned values, we are dedicated to achieving many environmentally sustainable projects to create a greener planet for generations to come. As was mentioned earlier, YVR is the only airport to receive the Skytrax Award for Best Airport in North America an astonishing 14 times. So it's clear that YVR's potential for future achievements is boundless. Today's occasion is particularly significant. There's no better person than Tamara to lead this conversation around innovation, community development, and sustainability by sharing her passion and insights with YVR and the industry. I'm sure many of us here today are no stranger to Tamara. Before stepping into her role as the President and CEO of YVR, she has previously served on YVR's board for 9 years, 3 years as the board chairperson at the Canada Infrastructure Bank, 13 years as the President and CEO for Van City, and Deputy Minister of Finance for the province of British Columbia. Tamara's career is filled with achievements that champion equality, sustainability, and empowerment. In addition to her current role as a Chancellor at the Simon Fraser University and a chair on the board of the Rick Hansen Foundation, she has received numerous accolades, including the Peter Lougheed Award for Leadership in Public Policy in 2016, BC CEO of the Year Award in 2015, and the Order of British Columbia in 2019, all showcasing her contributions to bettering the quality of life for people in British Columbia and beyond. So, without further ado, on behalf of the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade and our team at Stantec, let's give a warm welcome to Tamara Vrooman.
Thanks so much, Sean. I always think it's a missed opportunity not to invite my mom to these events, but I really appreciate that warm introduction. You know, Stantec has been a long-standing partner at YVR. Many of the beautiful things that we showcase and the things that help our airport run more smoothly are led in partnership with Stantec. So thank you again, Sean. And thank you also to Juggy and the Board of Trade for hosting us here this afternoon. Our Board of Directors is also here. We're privileged to have so many business leaders dedicate their time to serving on our Board of Directors to make us the best airport we can be. And of course, to Mary Point, my colleague, friend, and advisor, thank you so much for welcoming us and getting us started in such a good way. Hi, Scott. As you heard, my name is Tamara Vrooman, and I am the President and CEO of YVR, the Vancouver International Airport. And even though it's been said twice, I'm going to say it again, voted the best airport in North America in 2024. 2 years ago, I was here on this stage at the Board of Trade talking about how we were navigating still the effects of the pandemic. And it was a great opportunity to talk about what we'd learned and where we were going. But in the 2 years since, we've been really, really busy, I can tell you, and we've been doing a lot. So I'm happy to take this opportunity to update you, to talk to you about some of the things we've been working on, some of the problems we've solved, some of the things that have really made our airport really working very, very well, and a leader in our industry. I also want to talk a little bit about a recent study that we just commissioned. MNP helped us do it on the economic effects of the airport. We really take our responsibility to help the region grow economically very, very seriously. And so we're always looking for ways that we can ensure we are absolutely delivering the maximum that the region needs for us to be doing to support our collective prosperity and economic growth. And of course, we're going to be talking about the future. We've got some bold ideas for how we think we can support the region to grow and thrive even more so going forward. And it wouldn't be a YVR presentation unless we had a little bit of fun. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. We brought some of the airport to you here today, the food on the table, some of our great innovations and business partners outside. And in a little bit, I'm going to take you to the airport. So let's get started. When we think about the future, you know, there's a lot that has changed in a very short period of time in our industry. Of course, a lot of things have changed around the world, but for aviation in particular, we've really gone through a period of quite profound change. 2018, 2019, before the pandemic, we would have been talking about the great and continued expansion in our role as a hub to Asia Pacific and the continued growth that we are experiencing, which I'll talk about in a minute, with direct service to China. We also would have been talking about a labor market that was quite different, where we had 4 people applying for every job at our airport. We now have 4 jobs for every person, given the shifts in the labor market. Technology, while our airport has been a leader in automation, whether it was those check-in kiosks that are now in themselves becoming obsolete, but 20, 30 years ago, they were state-of-the-art, or some of the work we've done throughout to make some of our processes better, those were mostly done with automation, not digitization. We're now in a period of profound opportunity and potential disruption, if we're not careful, with respect to how we use digital tools to make our infrastructure smarter, to be able to improve our processes, our safe operations, and our service to our passengers. And of course, we're in quite a different geopolitical climate than we would have been in 2018, and so that affects our business, where our customer airlines can fly, where we can easily ship to. All of those are factors that affect our airport. And being the kind of business that we are, of course, climate and extreme weather events are also something that have brought big changes to the way we operate in a very few short years. You know, it wasn't that long ago when we were looking at the level of our dikes, for example, around Sea Island, that we would measure to 100, 150 level flood levels to make sure, of course, that we were building the infrastructure to surround the airport that allowed us to safely and efficiently continue to operate. Now it's more relevant to look at 5 or 7 year levels because they are that historic, a profound change to the way we work. So therefore, we've really taken a look at how we need to modernize, improve our core operations, but we're also looking to the things that can help us navigate this change context in the future for our own operations, but also for the betterment of the region. And there's 3 areas where we're particularly focused: digital innovation, energy, and intermodal transportation. And we're going to talk about each of those in turn. When I look around the world, we really see that airports and other transportation hubs that are really thriving despite this changed context, they're focusing on excellence in all 3 of those areas. And I think that YVR in our region has a unique opportunity to really position ourselves to really embrace those 3 things for the betterment of us all. As you know, we've always been the gateway to Asia, been a hub. We've welcomed both goods, people, trade as the most Western point. And we think that we can leverage that going forward, given the challenges ahead. So before we get to the future, I want to spend a little bit of time with some fun facts. I often get asked, has the airport fully recovered from the pandemic? I also get asked when White Spot is going to come back to the terminal. Those are the two things I get asked most often. And White Spot's on its way, don't worry. And yes, we've fully recovered from the pandemic. In fact, we're stronger than ever. Just a few stats. When you take a look at our contribution to GDP in 2023, you can see that we are at about 12 billion. Just with the airport operations alone. That's up 15% from where it was in 2018, despite the significant downturn through the pandemic. Last year saw our highest year of revenue on record in the whole history of our airport. Our financial performance is very, very strong, second highest earnings on record, and just this fall had our bond and credit rating reestablished, reconfirmed by both S&P and DBRS, the highest credit rating of any airport in the country. So we're in a strong financial position as well. We welcomed almost 25 million passengers last year. This year, we are on track to exceed that. And we are, of course, making all of those key investments that have earned us the top spot by the Skytrax Award for the 14th time. We also, something we don't talk about as much publicly, but certainly those of you in the room are very tied to this issue. We've also seen significant growth in our performance in our cargo business. So last year, we saw the highest cargo volume, second highest cargo volume in our history again, with 320,000 tons moved. That's a lot. The other thing, though, that's super interesting is the trajectory of our growth. The percentage increase that we saw last year was the highest of any airport on the west coast of North America. And so why is that? Well, we certainly see that some of the supply chain issues that we're seeing elsewhere are drawing to make Vancouver a better and more attractive hub. So how do we position ourselves to take and grow and accommodate that growth? We've also been working on things inside the terminal. We've been really freshening up our terminal food and beverage, offering the classics, but also a lot more local favorites. So whether it's purebred, Triple O's, Lee's Donuts, Hula Poke, you can find all of them at YVR. And we've also been really looking at how can we, through the work that we do in our terminal, do a better job of serving the community while we serve our passengers at the same time. And so that's why exactly a year ago tomorrow, we opened the Paper Planes Cafe in partnership with the Pacific Autism Family Network. That cafe is important for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, it serves excellent coffee. So that's really important. The second thing, though, is that it employs, the majority of people who work there are adults on the autism spectrum, many of whom really want that first job, but have not had the opportunity. So we thought this was a great opportunity in a busy airport, lots of noise and lots going on, to give people supportive employment to allow them to reach their goals. And so when they graduate from the Paper Planes program, which is a 6-month program, they're ready to take on jobs in the airport, in the community, or wherever else their careers may take them. It's been a very, very successful program, and we're very, very proud to partner with Wendy and Serge from the Pacific Autism Family Network in that work. Please join me in thanking them for the work that they do. Next to the Paper Planes Cafe in the domestic arrivals, you will see the Musqueam Gathering Place. It is also a thing of beauty in and of itself, but it's a very important place where we spend time in partnership with our Musqueam colleagues to educate about the original stewards of the land, Musqueam culture, flora and fauna that's found on what we now know as Sea Island, and how we're working together to continue that knowledge and learning as we develop the airport. The Journey Canoe, which is a 30-foot ocean-going canoe carved out of a single cedar log, I invite you to look at it, was the first one carved in many, many decades in partnership with elders from community, youth from community, and many of our own staff. Now let's turn our attention to routes and destinations. I'm always asked when the next new route is coming. And certainly before we got to the pandemic, most of our new routes, frankly, were either to new cities in China or to increasing the service that we already had to those destinations. In fact, in 2019, there were 60 direct flights a week from YVR to mainland China, served by over 6 different airlines, the highest of any airport in North America. Think about that. More than San Francisco or LAX, airports with far bigger populations. And that strategy really delivered well for us. We built a product around that. We built a commercial offering and terminals around that. But then the pandemic and geopolitical change happened. And so today, we have only 8 flights per week. Now, in case you missed it, Air Canada just made an exciting announcement this morning with increasing service direct from YVR to Shanghai and new service to Beijing. So we're very excited to be welcoming that new service from our colleagues at Air Canada. And of course, we will continue to see growth to that very important market for us, given the ties that we have between the two regions. But it's not going to go back to being the sole thing that drives our growth. And we recognize that. So we've been diversifying. What it looks like today is we have 53 airlines serving 116 destinations, 13 new routes in the last 2 years alone. Places everywhere from Singapore, Dubai, Guadalajara, to places closer to home, Windsor and London, Ontario. New routes, of course, give greater access to our community, to those markets, but they also create significant economic benefits. Let's pause for a moment and take a look at what one international flight does for our region. Air Canada to Singapore. It's year-round, started in April 2023, 4 times weekly, non-stop between Canada and Singapore. 16-hour flight to Singapore, 14 and a half hours from Singapore back to YVR on board a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a beautiful aircraft. That one flight alone generates $27 million annually for the BC economy and supports over 150 jobs. That's just one route. And when we take a look at all of the international routes, we can see that each international flight, flying on a daily service, long haul to international markets, can generate up to $70 billion for our economy and support 400 jobs in the province as a result. Services like these reinforce YVR's position as a key driver in our economy, but they show us that there's so much more that we can do. That's a beautiful shot. You're welcome, Air Canada. Look at that. We've been making many, many improvements over the last 2 years since last time we got together, but I'd like to highlight 2. The first one is around an area that, frankly, our industry still has more work to do in. We lag our passenger and community expectations, and that is in the area of accessibility. We've been doing a lot of work in this area. You saw the mobility pods that we had outside on your way in. We've got a great partnership, again, with Pacific Autism Family Network and other community agencies to support training for all of our frontline staff to make sure that our staff are prepared to welcome and support passengers regardless of their needs. We've got mobility ramps that we've installed in partnership with our float plane operators on the docks that allow people with mobility challenges to get on board a float plane, essential for the coastal communities that we serve. And we've also introduced a new curbside greeters program. Maybe you've seen it. Our folks are right out there from the minute that you get dropped off or come off the Canada line to make sure we are helping identify people with various needs, be it ESL, be it mobility, be it other supports, so we can get them where they need to go quickly and safely and efficiently through our airport. And the best part is what we've learned is every time we make a service improvement that improves accessibility and improves the way that we serve people with diverse needs, we automatically increase the service experience for all of our passengers. A better investment I can't think of to make. The second is around cargo expansion. Cargo expansion, as I said, is an area that historically we've relied on those long haul routes to have belly cargo travel as passengers travel back and forth to Asia and to Europe. But increasingly, air freight is becoming a bigger and bigger part of our business at YVR. So we opened 2 new airside cargo warehouses in the last 2 years. That adds to the 1.6 million square feet that we already have of airside cargo space. For those of you not in the cargo business, airside cargo warehouse is like the equivalent of beachfront in downtown. It's the best real estate that you can get because it's so accessible to the aircraft and vice versa. As I said, we continue to experience some of the highest growth of any cargo airport along the West Coast, and we look forward to that continuing. So as you can see, we've been pretty busy, and I've been very pleased with our progress. We emerged stronger from the pandemic, which wasn't a sure thing at various points during that time, I can tell you. But thanks to the work of the team and the support of many of you in this room, we've emerged very, very financially healthy and very operationally strong as an airport. So now, it's a good opportunity for us to turn our attention to the future. What is our industry going to need from us going forward? What's the region going to need us to be thinking about and doing to anticipate the kind of growth that will allow our region to thrive and prosper? There's a saying, the future is not something we enter, but something we create. And we really believe that at YVR, and we think that we have a huge role to play in co-creating that with our partners, with our customers, and with many of you in the room. So the 3 areas where we think we have the greatest opportunity going forward are in the areas, as I mentioned, innovation in digital and data, alternative energy, and intermodal transportation. So let's start with digital innovation. YVR is a place of connections. I think you all know that. People, bags, cargo, workers coming together. But there are many, many other ways that we make connections. And one of them that I'm particularly fond of is the work that we've done on the Innovation Hub. Using real-world examples at YVR, our Innovation Hub brings together academic institutions, local businesses, regulatory bodies, industry agencies, and Indigenous partners to develop viable operational solutions to some of the most pressing needs at our airport. And of course, when you solve it for our airport, you have the opportunity to solve it for other airports and also for others in the supply chain. We've welcomed over 50 local businesses to come and partner with us on that platform since we launched it just 2 short years ago. And one of the things that allows us to really support that work is the work that we've created through our digital twin platform. You probably recall 2 years ago, I gave a demo on stage of the digital twin, and you saw the digital twin, which is a live representation of our airport on the screens outside as you came into the room today. It's also on all of our employee cell phones. That allows us to track in real time operational issues, everything from what might be happening in the baggage hall all the way through to the emissions of aircraft. But let's take a look at a specific and particularly good, I think, example in action. Turn your attention to the screen. January 17th, 2024. 30 centimeters of snow fell in a very short hour. Now, I'm from Kamloops, and a lot of people say, well, you know, Tamara, 30 centimeters of snow is not much. And I say, but it is if it falls very, very quickly, and you're trying to move a very large aircraft safely through it. The temperature also dropped to minus 14. So again, our ability to de-ice before it re-iced again, very, very challenging in that environment. It was highly unusual. We went back, and we had to go back over 78 years to find anything even close to those conditions on that day. And it was certainly more severe than the fateful 4 days in December 22, right around Christmas time, that I think you're all familiar with, that really essentially stopped our airport. The digital twin was an asset that really allowed us to perform on the 17th of January. It was our platform for data. It was a single source of truth that our folks could work on to understand what was happening when, to get ahead and to communicate across all of our channels. As a result, we operated 80% of our scheduled service that day, and all arriving aircraft were gated within 30 minutes. I can tell you those stats are good stats for an airport on a good sunny day. The fact we were able to do that on one of our most challenging days shows us the value of our talented people working with smart tools that allow us to improve our reliability, our safety, and the efficiency of our airport. And to take a look at those conditions and the folks that are working there, the data that we have on the digital twin is fantastic. It's a fantastic tool, but of course, nothing happens without the folks that are working in blistering sun or freezing snow in the middle of the night to make sure we safely move. And there's many of those folks in the room here today. Please join me in thanking them for the work they do for us. We also have many innovations inside our terminal as well. You know, YVR is the single largest building in the province, and it can be a very long distance, over half a kilometer from the security check-in point all the way through to the end of the gate in the international terminal, for example. And that can be tricky for those people who have any kind of mobility challenges. And so that's why we've been looking for ways to better support travelers. You saw outside, in partnership with A&K Robotics, a local company out of Burnaby, ways that we can have autonomous pods that allow people to do what they want to do at the time they want to do, but in a supportive way to navigate our terminal. We have plans to integrate those pods into every aspect of our environment. We also have been partnering with many organizations through our integrated marketplace initiative. Everything from mobile EV charging to drone-based monitoring of our runways to an enhanced communication and paging system that we can use throughout our airport and Sea Island. We're partnering with local businesses through the Innovation Hub and through the integrated marketplace to help us bring real-time solutions to improve the passenger experience. When we look at innovation, we see a lot of opportunities. Hopefully in the last few weeks even, you've had the opportunity to go through our new domestic security checkpoint ABC, and see that we have 5 CT machines there that allow passengers to go through pre-board screening and with our colleagues at CATSA without taking anything out of your bags or removing your shoes or a first of its kind in Canada. We have virtually no wait times in that screening point as a result of that technology. We now see that Ottawa Airport, I think in the last few days actually, has just opened a checkpoint with those machines, and we hope to see them at more airports across the country soon. In another example, we're partnering with Air Canada to use real-time biometric technology for boarding domestic flights. No longer will you need to show ID, your passport, and your boarding card a second time before boarding your flight. There'll be a facial recognition. You can walk up to the machine, it recognizes you, matches you to your boarding pass, and you're free to board the aircraft. One of the things that we've really noticed in the testing of this biometric technology is everybody smiles when they're faced with the biometric screening, because you're just so happy that it just opens and lets you go through an improved passenger experience if ever there was one. We're looking forward to starting that process, that pilot, with Air Canada on domestic flights in November. So we're doing a lot, but we think there's still more we can do to navigate those challenges that I talked about earlier, and to make sure that we're setting up our airport for the future. And so I think as we think about how we are actively managing, learning as we go, improving in every part of our business, we should take an active approach to this presentation as well. And so that's why I'm pleased to be able to chat with Dr. Jerry Sinclair. Dr. Sinclair is known to many of you. She's had many, many roles in our region. Most recently, she was the Provincial Innovation Commissioner, and now she works with me at YVR as our Chief Prioritization, Planning, and Performance Optimization Officer. I always have to read that because I can't remember it. So we call it C3PO for short. So I think this is a great opportunity to go and chat with Jerry and see how she sees the future. Please join me. Jerry, so nice to see you.
Tamara, up to your old tricks again, I see.
Absolutely. I'm just here with the folks, good folks from the Board of Trade, and we're talking about all things YVR. And one of the things that's really important to the operation of our airport, and one of the big innovations that we put in place, of course, is the digital twin. You're an expert on digital twins right around the world, recognized as such. Why do you think it's so important for an airport like YVR to have a digital twin?
Well, as you know very well, a digital twin is just a replication of the physical world. And when you think about an airport is maybe the epicenter of multiple systems all working together. I mean, just think of the passengers and the bags and the aircraft and everything that comes together, and how you would possibly manage that and get a chance of understanding how these intricate systems work together. And that's really what the digital twin does. It captures in one place all of the systems, whether they're large or small, for the entire airport, and lets anyone, no matter what their role here is, from an operations manager to the CEO to even the digital people, understand at any one point what's happening in their sphere. And the great thing about the twin is it allows you to present in multiple ways different visual representations of the airport from your particular perspective.
Absolutely. Our ability to actually see everything that's going on at any given moment in our airport at one time right across the island is really game-changing. And so as you look to the future, where do you see the future of digital twins, particularly for an airport like YVR?
Well, I mean, even today, I think what I would say, Tamara, is here at YVR, the future is now. That's what William Gibson said, the future is here, it's just unevenly distributed. Well, it's distributed heavily here, and the point is that you have this twin on your phone.
I sure do.
And you travel, God knows, a lot, and you can look and see what's happening at the airport at any moment, or you can talk to any one of us, and we can all look at the twin and see if there is an emergency, or see if there's a particular flight that is stranded, or in adverse weather conditions. We have a lot more data than we've ever had before, so that we can really understand what's going on in all contexts.
Thanks so much as always, Jerry. Always great to talk to you. Got to get back to the stage.
Have fun.
She's fantastic, hey? There's nobody I'd rather time travel with than Jerry Sinclair. So you can see we're doing a lot on the digital twin side, and we think there's more and more we can do. And again, we're very, very keen to be doing that in partnership with many, many businesses in British Columbia. But what about alternative energy? How everything we do at YVR takes energy. And while we have come from a place where we have historically been a fossil fuel-driven industry, obviously powering our aircraft, but also powering a lot of our equipment, we used to use it as backup fuel for our lighting and heating systems. How can we transition to sustainable energy, but still do it in a way that is responsible, sustainable, and cost-effective? And so we have a plan to understand how best to do that through our own operations by being net zero by 2030, and we're well on our way to doing that. We're also helping the broader aviation sector to meet its goal of being net zero by 2050. To that end, we have invested $135 million to achieve net zero emissions, and that will be completed, as I said, by 2030. We've also entered into a partnership, the first of its kind, with the BC government on the BC Low Carbon Fuel Standard, which allows us to offset the cost of low carbon aviation fuel, encouraging more early adoption and more airlines and users to use sustainable aviation fuel. We're also advancing our own clean, green, renewable infrastructure. Jet bridges that plug into the power grid, air conditioning systems that allow fresh air to come into the aircraft while they're parked, battery-powered eco-buses, energy storing to power back up our airfield lighting systems so we can move off diesel, charging infrastructure for our electrified fleet, electric-powered tugs that move aircraft and other heavy equipment around our airfield. We're partnering with a local company, Moment Energy, which uses recycled batteries to make mobile EV charging stations airside. We also are completing one of the largest geo-exchange systems in our country to allow us to offset power usage for our heating and cooling, in particular, heat pumps in the main terminal, additional forms of renewable fuels for our fleet. Plus, we partnered with Airbus and Zero Aviation to understand the future of hydrogen in an airport. Lots of talk about hydrogen, but how do you get it to the airport? How do you distribute it safely? Who regulates it? How does it work in the actual physical as well as the economic context? That's the first of its kind in Canada for that study, and we're very happy to be partnering with Airbus on that. So you can see that we're doing a lot in the energy space. But again, because energy is so important to our business, we think there's more we can do. And so that's why we've created an Energy Advisory Council for YVR, comprised of national and international experts that can come together to advise us on what we need to be thinking about long-term, 2050, 2060, 2070, in terms of the sustainable, efficient, reliable energy that we will need to power our airport now and our growth into the future. And so we asked Bob Elton, who's the former president and CEO of BC Hydro and knows a lot about energy in our region, to chair the council. Looks like Bob is actually airside, smiling there, and so you guessed it, I'm gonna go and talk to him. I'm going airside, so I have to take the safety vest. Safety officer, you're watching, right? Safety vest? No. Bob, so nice to see you.
Good to see you,
Thanks
sir.
so much for joining me here. We've just been talking a little bit this afternoon about the airport, about digitization, about the future, and now I really want to talk about energy, and an area that, of course, you're an expert in. When you think about a place like YVR and our energy needs, what do you think is really exciting about energy and the work that we're doing here at YVR?
So a couple of things, Tamara. Thanks for asking. I think first, what you're already doing. So you've already set like ambitious goals for 2030, which you're on track to meeting, which frankly, not many people are. And so as you look at 2050, it means you start with a good base. That's number one. Number two, there's so much potential here. I mean, there are big challenges. It starts, I think, with all of these people moving around, all these aircraft, all this equipment, all these vehicles. How do you power them? Can you keep moving them more towards electrification? And as you're optimizing the way all these things moved around in order to run an efficient airport, you're optimizing energy at the same time. So that's kind of part of it. Plus, you've got this facility, you've got land potentially that you might develop one day. So again, how can you achieve net zero there, potential there, working again with tenants and with developers and everybody else in the community. And then finally, there's the planes themselves. What will fuel them? To what extent will there be sustainable aviation fuel in the mix? To what extent will there be electric aircraft powered by batteries? To what extent will there be things like hydrogen planes? How can YVR play a role, a leadership role? Because even though people around the world are thinking about these things, I believe that YVR is already leading in terms of actually taking steps towards them, and you can keep doing that.
Yeah, thank you very much. We certainly are focused not only at planning, but actually doing it in partnership with the many talented local and national companies that we have, really turning their energy and their attention here. If you think about 2050 then, and the confidence that you have that we're going to achieve those goals, what do you see for the future of YVR?
That's a great question. I mean, we'll all be probably, we'll be traveling in different ways. First of all, as people, will artificial intelligence mean that we do different things, the way we organize ourselves? What will the planes look like that are flying us?
Yeah.
How will we get to the airport? I don't think we'll be all going in cars across that bridge. So I think there's just, you've got the job of trying to imagine what that might look like. I guess the key thing is the energy, the development of clean energy, alternative energy should be in support of that. So in terms of setting an inspiring example for British Columbians and of course people around the world, that's another great opportunity that you have, I believe.
Thanks so much as always for your time, Bob. Super happy to have you here with us today.
My pleasure.
Take care.
And tell everyone I said hi.
I will do that.
Thank you.
I don't think I need this anymore. Bob says hi. I think you heard that, yeah. So energy is a very important part of our future, but as you heard Bob signal there, the way that we move and how we use that energy in the medium and long term, we think is going to increasingly be intermodal. When we look at some of the best airports and transportation hubs around the world, they are intermodal, using multiple forms of transportation to leverage the investment that is made in that infrastructure, but also improve the efficiency, throughput, and therefore reduce congestion and improve economic output in the regions and communities that they serve. And so that's why we are now thinking about intermodal. Air and air travel and air cargo will always be a key part of what we do, but how do we use the asset that has been built here over 30 years with the tremendous reputation and performance success that we have to do even more, to grow our air service, but also to do it in a way that improves the opportunities for different parts of the supply chain, for different parts of the transportation network, all while improving efficiency and reducing congestion at the same time. YVR is a unique geography, as you heard from Mary. It's been recognized for its uniqueness for many thousands of years as a gateway because we are surrounded by water, an inland waterway and an ocean waterway. We're also very close to a major international border, to the world's largest economy. And we have the talent and the proximity to a major urban center that helps support all of those things. And so as we think about how we can leverage our transportation networks, it's probably important just to do a little bit of level set for what we're doing already today. Our runways handle 750 takeoffs and landings each and every day. We have riverside docks around Sea Island that provide float plane access, but also act as facilities to barge equipment and materials needed to run our airport. We have bridges and roadways that connect us to the community and also to the US border. We have the Canada Line that moves employees and passengers efficiently to our airport. Taxi, ride shares, and commuters and recreational enthusiasts use our vast network and expanding network of bike paths. We already have an intermodal hub of sorts. The opportunity, I think, is how we can use the land, the proximity to water, the proximity to the border, and the needs to move things more efficiently to think about the investments that we need to make at YVR. What's happening today, if we look to our colleagues, I know TransLink is in the building with us. we already have a good foundation to build on. 27% of the passenger trips to the airport are by collective modes, which includes Canada Line, airport shuttles, and charter buses. And although transit use is ahead of any other airport in North America, we still have a ways to go to catch up with some of the locations that you see on the screen. And so why is their count higher than us? Well, it's because they have found ways, because land is scarce, usually in those communities, to build the connection to rail, public transit, and other infrastructure that allows for the efficient movement of people and goods through that airport. What does an integrated multimodal hub mean for YVR? It means that we can move more, for sure, but we also are seeing, as we saw through our innovation hub, it provides us with a bit of a hub for economic activity, a place where businesses can grow and help us grow while building out their own innovations and client bases at the same time. Intermodal hubs are interesting concepts, and we need to think a little bit more long-term about how we would connect in these various ways. That's why, you guessed it, I'm going to talk to an expert. And that expert is none other than Dr. Anthony Pearl, who is the author and professor of urban studies and political science at Simon Fraser University. Dr. Pearl is an international expert in intermodal, and of course, this is a great opportunity to go and talk to him. So you know the drill. I'm going to go there, then I'm going to be up there, and then I'll see you in a bit. Dr. Pearl, how are you?
Tamara, good to see you again.
Yeah, so nice to see you in our airport. How have you been?
Well, thanks. How about you?
Excellent. We've just been talking this afternoon about all things YVR, from our digital future to what we're doing on the energy front. And now we've been talking about something that you know a little bit about, intermodality, and the potential that YVR has to be an intermodal hub in the future.
Well, it's a subject that's near to my heart because when you connect up the different modes of transportation effectively, you multiply their productivity at a smaller environmental footprint for all of them. So I really think if there's a place in North America that this could happen well, it's here on Sea Island, because you've got the air infrastructure, we've got the beginning of a rail connection, we've got the roads, and you're surrounded by the ocean. So marine options are the next piece of that puzzle. And if you put it all together effectively, I think YVR can move from being an airport to a travel port, where people and goods really come together in a way that is better and more efficient than anywhere else in Canada or even in North America potentially.
That's fantastic that we could be equivalent to some of the intermodal hubs we see around the world right here in Vancouver. How fantastic for our region and for our economy.
It would be a real game changer, I think. It would take the productivity of this airport to the next level and bring other synergies that really haven't even started yet for our region. So yes, it would take us up there in the company of Amsterdam and Hong Kong, some of the world's great logistics hubs that have this kind of multimodal infrastructure that's well integrated between the modes. So I'm hoping to see that happen in my lifetime. It takes time, but one of the things YVR has done great over the years is taking one step at a time, building on a vision, and achieving it with those steps in the right direction.
Yeah, well, we're super excited about the future. And I actually think that the conversation that we've just been having here is going to be of great interest to the audience that's gathered here at the Board of Trade. So why don't you join me? I think they'd love to talk to you and keep the conversation going. Let's go this way.
Sounds great.
Dr. Pearl. Thank you so much, Dr. Pearl. You've been such a good sport. And I do encourage any of you in the audience, Dr. Pearl truly is a global expert, and we're lucky to have him in our midst. He's been spending a career working with jurisdictions around the world who have successfully done this or they're on their way. Please join me in thanking Dr. Pearl again. So I hope you've enjoyed our little trip to YVR. We brought a little of the airport to you outside and teleported you, in a way, to our airport. We're pretty excited about the work that we have been able to do in these last few years to recover from the pandemic stronger, to really focus on the things that matter to the people we serve and the economy that supports it. And we're now turning our attention to the future. But of course, none of that would be possible, all the cool technology, all the interesting innovations in energy, or the ability for the CEO to teleport behind a screen, without the 26,000 people who work at our airport. We've always been a people business first in our commitment to the people we serve and in our commitment to our very high quality safety culture at our airport. I know there's many, we've rented a movie theater at Marine Gateway and they're all watching, those who are not on shift. So please join me in thanking the 26,000 people who work at our airport each and every day to make it the fantastic hub that it is. Yeah. I'd also like to thank Dr. Jerry Sinclair, Bob Elton, who looked like a 10-year-old on the airfield, didn't he? He was so excited to be there. And Dr. Anthony Pearl for sharing their significant knowledge and wisdom on where they think the future could be for YVR. Please join me in thanking them. And then, of course, our two ASL interpreters, Jenny Lang and Alexandra McDonald. Thank you for your ASL support in ensuring that we had accessible proceedings today. You know, I've had the opportunity in my career to work in the public sector, the private sector, to work in different industries, and to really be a part of the change that we've seen and the progress that we've seen in our region and in our province. But I think YVR is my favorite gig yet, and not just because we have cool photos and planes, but we have all of that. We also have a lot of fun in serving you and our region, but I do truly believe that infrastructure, more than anything else we can put our mind to, whether it's digital infrastructure, whether it's social infrastructure, climate infrastructure, or aviation and transportation infrastructure, is the single most important thing that we can think about and invest in together to create the future that our economy and our community needs. We need to be thinking 30 years ahead in order to make sure that we've got the infrastructure to support our ambitions and the next generation. And YVR is uniquely positioned to play a role in that, not only because we are the largest and only international airport in the region, but because we have the reputation, we have the talent, we have the balance sheet, we have the land, we have the partnerships, and we have the support to truly be the infrastructure and leader with all of you that can be a major contributor to the future of our region. And so I'm delighted that so many of you are interested in our airport. I thank you for your support. I know many of you contributed to all of the fantastic innovations, service improvements, and operational resilience that we enjoy at our airport each and every day. Thank you again to all the staff that made this possible. And now I'm going to take your questions. Merci beaucoup.